still consider this Pacoima, in the city of Los Angeles, obviously, but
Northbound.
Pacoima area as he comes northbound. This is where Van Nuys goes northbound here, and I think up ahead it actually turns, or this may be, well, we'll have to get this straight for you in a second, but we are continuing northbound here as it continues more towards the Mission Hills area, a little bit up towards, moving up towards northbound, towards the 118 area, probably another 3 or 4 miles, but yet definitely a different route right here, right now. Obviously, he didn't find what he needed to in the neighborhood he was. We're going to be crossing a major intersection, which we believe here is, and I think that's Nordhoff again. He might be back eastbound on Nordhoff from Van Nuys.
Nordhoff eastbound. Maybe that spike strip scared him out of the neighborhood. He probably realizes he can't go back there because if they're expecting him, they'll deploy that spike strip again. And with those low-profile tires, I would think that it wouldn't take long for them to deflate. I've got some fairly low-profile tires on my car, and I hit a pothole, and that was it for that. So it can't be that long for a spike strip either, I would guess. So we'll have to see what they're going to be able to do. Again, he's now on this. He was in those residential areas for so long. They couldn't really use the pit maneuver there. You're on a wider street with a lot of traffic, so that it makes it somewhat less safe if they need to, but they'd probably prefer to do this in an isolated area, someplace where A, he can't get into someone's home if he bails out of the car, and B, that he's not going to hit other traffic. So that's kind of the dilemma they find themselves in here, is they have the tactic at their disposal. It's just a question of when and where they can use it. And
yeah, we just that was Nordhoff, and now it looks like we're going to be northbound on Osborne, or eastbound they call it in this area, Osborne, away from Nordhoff. But yeah, using different areas, and you know, it's always touchy here. There is a primary unit, but there's always a supervisor, a police supervisor in charge of these pursuits. And what his job is to monitor these pursuits, make sure everybody keeps their head, time is on their side, especially in this situation where he's driving, you know, not so recklessly. He's somewhat in control, not. You know, so far nothing too dangerous, but watching it, managing it, see what he does, except when he crosses into oncoming traffic like that, which is not very safe at all. But moving back left or westbound onto another side street, you can see a bicyclist through there. But the supervisor's job in this pursuit is to manage it, make sure all his units are doing what they're. We're northbound Beachy Street, and still in the Pacoima area, but the supervisor's job here is to manage this pursuit, make sure his units are all deployed properly, and he's the one that's going to decide, based on what the air unit is telling him, what his ground officers are telling him about speed, road conditions, pedestrians on the roadway, how to manage this pursuit. And right now they're doing a very good job managing this pursuit. We're past Cagle Canyon here on Beachy, but managing this pursuit very well, as we're getting down to probably about 5-10 minutes of fuel left here in Air 7 before we get relieved. Made another left-hand turn, we believe that's southbound, and another eastbound turn. These streets are coming very quickly, so we're trying to get them as they come. But again, almost in that same area on Garver, which is a street eastbound on Garver, which is a street that he's been on quite a few times here. Southbound Sandusky is what he's on right now, away from Garver. So, you know, through these areas, their job to manage this pursuit, and at some time here, depending, they're going to weigh it against, they're going to weigh what they're going to do based on what he's wanted for. And right now, from what we've been told, it's still just a failure to yield for those tinted windows. But we're going to try to figure it out. I'm sure we'll learn more about exactly what he's wanted for here very shortly.
And JT, it's still just the CHP in pursuit. The LAPD has not gotten involved at this point?
Right now, the primary units in this pursuit are CHP being assisted. We're stopping, and we're going to try to get around here to see, not sure if someone dropped off or not. Looks like someone did get out, but we're going to stay with the car. Someone possibly got out of the passengers. One did go into one good bail out of the car behind the tree there. CHP is in for pursuit of that suspect, and we'll keep you advised on what's happening there. Suspect is wearing a pink shirt, and CHP now in foot pursuit. LAPD calling that foot pursuit from the air as we continue to watch the vehicle as it speeds away. So right now, we have 2 people out of the vehicle and 1 person driving the vehicle. From so far what we know, at least what they think, because of those tinted windows, only 1 occupant remains in this vehicle. But again, you never know. And that's the scary part about law enforcement. They just never know what they're dealing with, these vehicles, especially with the tinted windows. But now he seems to be driving a little bit faster. Now that he got rid of that passenger,
speed up a little bit.
Maybe a little bit more anxious here. I don't want to speculate, but we see different patterns like this. We go southbound Garver in that same area. He very well could be getting ready to bail out southbound Canterbury. What they sometimes do is they'll throw that passenger out there thinking it's going to take all the officers in this pursuit chasing him, and then so he can get the primary driver can get away, but that's not the case. Got an air unit above you, they got radios, they got multiple units, so you can't really get away. Again, coming into oncoming traffic there, hitting the brakes, trying to get around that white car, almost went head-on with those other two cars. There seems to be a little bit more urgency and a little less safe driving on his part in this avalanche. You can see that CHP unit. And to answer your question earlier, Michelle, yes, CHP is still the primary in this pursuit, primary and secondary. LAPD monitoring the pursuit because it is in their area of jurisdiction, along with LAPD Air Support Division. Not sure if there's a CHP helicopter here as well, or is it only LAPD?
Just for something very simple, a citation for tinted windows, and then took off. This pursuit has now been going on for over an hour. That started over at the 210 and Fruit Street, and now has made its way to where the car is registered in Arleta, and then also into Pacoima as well. It's now just one person in that car, and still turning around in this neighborhood, possibly that he obviously knows quite well, as he's going in and out of alleys and streets, and blowing stop signs and four-ways, and also getting onto the main streets and blowing, I know, unbelievable, and blowing these stop lights as well, with no regard for anybody. You see people that are coming out of their houses to try and take a look at this and see what's going on in their neighborhood. It's simply just not safe to do so at this point. If you are watching this on TV, if you do hear those police cruisers, those CHP cruisers going by, just stay inside your home, keep your kids inside. You just don't know what is in the mind of someone that is in this situation right now, and why they are running. At one point, we understand there were things that were being thrown out the window, possible evidence that they could also collect along the way and use it later on. But here he is again, going through another small street in this residential neighborhood, and it's just, it looks like an alley, actually. And he's come to a stop.
Yeah, he's bailing out. This is just north of Brantford and east of Arleta, into the neighborhoods here, running through the backyards, and we're going to try to get Sky 5 in position. But he knows the area, so he's bailing out, and he's going to use as much cover as he can. And Kenneth Ward's going to watch this area. But yeah, he's
Tilt
using
down a little
cover
bit, Tim.
for trees.
Tilt down. He jumped over the second wall there.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, see there, and then he jumped a wall. The suspect, the driver of that car, jumped the wall, and now we're trying to see where exactly he is, trying to hide through this neighborhood and trying to just find some cover away from the CHP officers that have been on this pursuit.
Tim, it looked like he jumped the first wall that's right there on the front bumper of his truck, and then ran through the yard and scaled the second wall, and at that point we lost him. But obviously CHP is right on it at this point, and you believe you might see him beneath that awning in that backyard?
Yeah, that right there, if we push in real tight there on that awning right to the right, that's where I last saw him, go underneath that awning. Right in there. So you can see that the CHP officer working it. They're being directed in by the CHP airplane that's here as well.
Yeah, Dave, the lone suspect, after dropping two passengers off, ran into this alley, ran out of room there at that dead end, bailed out of the vehicle and ran into this neighborhood very near Osborne and Laurel Canyon, to be exact, right at O'Melveny and Sunburst. Right now, LAPD, California Highway Patrol, setting up a perimeter, trying to lock down this area.
Well, there are officers all in this area. There was a couple on that major street. You see them right there in that elbow, and they're talking about we hear him saying that these by a pool, but we clearly saw him run past that pool and work his way into this tree right here. At one point, I did see some shadows moving, so I thought maybe he had run on, maybe in that area right there. Again, it appears that he has not moved from that area. Again, many telltale signs is you'll see dogs running in this area, or you'll see somebody in the backyard. So we've been kind of keeping a wide shot here, looking, but I have not seen him come anywhere from the last we saw in that tree-lined area, that big tree right there, and that is where four properties seem to come together. That's where four walls meet. So it makes you kind of think that maybe he's hiding out in that area. Maybe it's if he feels comfortable there. But again, you're right. They are. If it doesn't happen right away, you know that LAPD is going to get involved. They're going to try to lock this down. There's only a couple of officers out here from CHP, and again, one of them is with the vehicle, and the other couple are over here on this residential street. And again, you can see a lot of people coming out of their homes. You see these officers walking around. Obviously, they're going to try to make their way into these backyards. Again, it's going to be very curious to see what's going on. Again, I saw some movement right in that area. That's the reason why I made that quick zoom. You know, those dogs, they're gonna rat that guy out. If you know, anybody who has a dog that lives in a backyard, you know, any kind of activity back there, that dog's gonna get up and start barking. And so that's kind of what we're looking at. But again, I could almost guarantee you he has not made his way from at least one of these two backyards right here, as we have not seen him make any kind of move, and we hadn't seen him double back. So again, he's gonna be right here in this area.
We're waiting to see if they get someone in custody here, but right now it looks like officers making an entrance into that garage there, and it's quite possible that the suspect is in that garage based on signals that they're getting from their canines. So we'll keep an eye on this, but again, right now, a suspect wanted initially just for a simple traffic violation, window tinting, oddly enough, ended up leading to a pursuit that went for quite some distance, and has made its way all the way here to Pacoima, where they are now searching for the suspect that jumped out of his truck and ran from officers.
And we continue to follow breaking news. A high-speed 70-minute pursuit from San Bernardino to the San Fernando Valley. 3 suspects in all. 2 of them jumped out mid-pursuit. They're in custody. The driver jumped out of that truck, scaled a wall, and is in a standoff with the CHP now in this Pacoima neighborhood.
Well, they've had a real tough search here in this neighborhood, having a hard time with the neighbors in the neighborhood, but they've collected 3 suspects here possibly involved in this. One with a backpack. We did see one suspect bail out of the car with a backpack on. That's the one on the right there. But right now, they're just detaining these suspects for investigation, for a field show-up by the officers who were in pursuit. But the area is completely locked down still. At CHP, LAPD doing a yard-to-yard search here with canines trying to locate the remaining suspects. But right now, they're detaining 3 for investigation.